Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to our Tuesday edition of our show. I'm your host, Joe Grotto. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking part of your week to hear our thoughts on everything athletics baseball. Today is Tuesday, February 17th. We're going to treat today more like a check-in. We are going to provide some discussion around some spring training updates as the full squad has now officially reported. We'll discuss some storylines that have broken camp from the high vibes from camp thus far and things you should follow along throughout the upcoming spring training season and leading us right into opening day. And then we will provide a release of when you can expect to begin enjoying our A's player profile and prediction series that is set to begin shortly and is going to navigate our podcast episodes upload just a little bit. We'll explain all of that at the back end of today's show. Kind of a short show today, but just still want to check in and keep our excitement high as the return of A's baseball. We see it coming ever so fast. We can't wait to get all to it and discuss the excitement around this 2026 team. Until then, let's jump into today's show. Holy Toledo, let's go A's. All right there, A's Day fans. Thank you once again for tuning in to our newest edition of our show. Just want to give you a friendly reminder of where you can find us outside of our podcast episodes that are offered twice per week. That is going to be changing here in the near future. Continue to listen to our episodes on your favorite podcast platforms, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify Music, Amazon Music, Samsung, Podbean, iHeartRadio, and so many others. Wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, including A's Day, we appreciate your continued support. Additionally, check us out on our social media platforms on Instagram at A's Day Baseball Podcast, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at A's Day Baseball, and check out our YouTube channel for A's player interviews, video editions of our podcast episodes, A's Destination Baseball City virtual guides, and so much more that will be added there throughout the 2026 season and beyond. Be sure to check us out on YouTube. And to become an official subscriber of A's Day, check us out on our Patreon site, patreon.com/A's Day for just $2 a month. You'll be entered to win monthly A's Day t-shirts, which is set to begin next month, A's autographed memorabilia, future A's game tickets, and so much more as we grow this platform collaboratively. All right, like I mentioned at the top of the show, now at the time of recording, the full squad has reported, and it seems like vibes are high. We've been treated to seeing the sights and sounds of swings from the likes of Brent Rooker and Lawrence Butler, and it appears Nick Kurtz, who is the youngest man on the 40-man roster in camp, is already off to a hot start, making baseballs disappear. If you haven't been able to check out any of the spring training footage, be sure to check it out on X. Martin Gallegos does an excellent job covering the A's. That's where I've been able to capture that content of seeing several of the A's taking batting practice, some pitchers throwing bullpens, things like that, adding to that excitement of what's to come. Last year, we had the opportunity to get down to Mesa to experience spring training in person thanks to our partnership with Visit Mesa. They are working in a different marketing initiative for this season, so it does not appear that we will be down in Arizona this year, but nevertheless, we are thankful for what they've been able to provide thus far. We're going to continue to foster that relationship and be able to cover spring training virtually because that's the power of the internet. We've got plenty of people down there capturing content of the A's, especially with the excitement surrounding the team heading into 2026 with this young core in place. After what we saw them laying the foundation this past year, it seems like the expectations are going to be a bit heightened. And we've been treated to seeing some of the top prospects in camp, including Leo DeVries getting reps at shortstop, also blistering baseballs in BP. It seems like things are looking great there. Gage Jump, Jamie Arnold, they have thrown their first bullpen, including Arnold directly throwing his bullpen right in front of manager Mark Kotze, his first bullpen of spring camp. I believe that was yesterday. So there is certainly a lot to like. It seems like there's a lot of high energy, a lot of mix of youth, some experience. But I think the overall message is they understand that with the continued progression of adding wins, the next step now is to be in that postseason conversation. And I think the focus has been there from day one. So looking forward to seeing what that shapes out to as we roll along for another baseball marathon with our A's. But it seems like to start the main topic of discussion is with the signing of Aaron Civale. There are now 3 veteran arms in the rotation in Severino, Springs, and Aaron. And it seems like, according to Kotze, the number 4 and 5 spots in the rotation are open to open competition. Now, it would appear that the candidates involved will be Luis Morales and Jacob Lopez, who I feel personally have the inside track to landing those spots. But other guys that are going to be given consideration will be Jack Perkins, JT Ginn, Gunnar Hoglund, and I believe even prospects Braden Nett and Gage Jump will get looks and opportunities in that open competition, with the latter most likely starting the year in the minor leagues. But I feel like if they have enough of a showing in spring training, perhaps they may do enough to push the manager's hand. But nevertheless, from this perspective, I do believe that Morales and Lopez, based on what they put on tape last year, it seemed like they had more quality starts than not. Can only see them going upwards in terms of their progression, and would imagine that they would be the 2 best fits for those roles. And with that, you wonder, what does that mean for JT Ginn? What does that mean for Gunnar Hoglund? Perhaps those can be swing starters vying for that role, as now Mitch Spence has been sent out of the organization via trade to the Royals. So the A's, where it seems like how their pitching development and philosophy has been, they love having those type of pitchers that can serve a rotation role, but also can serve inning eatings out of the bullpen. They like having that pitching diversity and versatility. So with that, I think there is an opportunity for Ginn and Hoglund to carve out their roles. And you wonder what that means for Mason Barnett, someone that did get a taste of getting a couple of major league starts last year. Didn't go according to plan, but is still held in high regards in terms of his prospect status and what the A's envision him to be able to contribute to a starting rotation. Is that going to be this year? We'll see. That leads me to another topic at spring training, is that Mason Barnett has altered his arm slide. I believe he's coming at a slighter lower trajectory than his direct over the top last year. Seems like that hitters were sitting to that. He wasn't able to properly tunnel his pitches throughout his repertoire, and going into differing arm angles, I think, allowed him to present the ball to the hitter a lot earlier than where he's coming from this year. So they know the stuff is there. They know the repertoire is there. It just didn't add up why hitters had such success to Barnett. And yes, it was a combination. He had some command issues at the big league level, and he was falling behind hitters, which led him to having to throw pitches in more hitter-friendly zones. So all of that mixed led to what I think appeared. He did get his first major league win, but I think he'd be the first to tell you that it was not the showing that he intended to start his major league career. But that's the beauty of it, of how young he is. He still has time to grow and to mature and to be able to learn what it is that is going to make him be successful at the big league level. And baseball is all about a game of adjustments, and it's good to see Barnett is making some minor tweaks that perhaps coming from a different arm angle may make him a more effective pitcher. So time will tell. That's something to keep an eye on through spring. I'm sure that's something he'll be toying around with in spring games. Don't be surprised if you see him throwing at multiple arm angles, because it does sometimes take time for you to get used to throwing to that certain arm angle over and over again. With your natural muscle memory that you've built up, it's probably going to kick in. That old arm angle is going to be coming in from pitch to pitch, from certain pitches from time to time. The more he grows more comfortable and more reps he gets with his new angle, the more consistent I believe he'll get with it. But Barnett is definitely a dark horse, I think, to land in this rotation. And perhaps there may be a spot open if perhaps one of the veterans like a Civale doesn't pan out in the rotation as expected, may open the door for some other arms, including a Barnett. But we'll see. Definitely something to track here. Looking forward to seeing how this pitching shapes out, because I think this is a really important part of this group. We know the team is going to hit. We know they're going to score runs. That's not going to be a problem. So they do have to get more consistency across the board doing it week in, week out, because sometimes they're blistering hot and other times they're ice cold. They got to find that happy medium where they can ride the waves, peaks and valleys of a long major league season and not go too ice cold at a time when the team may need some support, especially with this pitching staff. If this A's team is going to be in the postseason, or at least playing meaningful September games, it's really going to rely on how well this pitching staff holds up. We were hoping that they were going to bring in a big frontline starter type. They didn't do that. They did add some depth in Savali, so perhaps he can have a bounce back and add some depth to the starting pitching rotation. They also do have some young arms that are going to be vying for starts, vying for a spot in this rotation. So I do think the healthy competition shows that there is a lot more depth in this position, even looking back a year ago. But I think it also is going to matter, can Jeffrey Springs maintain his consistency and health? And can Luis Severino have a bounce back? If one of those two things happens and takes off in a significant way, this A's team is going to benefit drastically from it. And so that's why I feel like if you, as an A's fan, got to keep an eye on how this pitching staff is looking and where the rotation shakes out, and also taking a look at where the bullpen roles are carved out. Because if I had to guess right now, based on the candidates that are in-house shifting to the bullpen, I would have to imagine that it is going to be a closer by committee type, which we've seen teams like the 1990 Pirates have to do that at times. And I know there are other examples of teams that have done that in recency years, but that's the first team that popped into my head because I was watching a special on MLB Network. But they were talking about how having those different looks at the end of games typically made them even a tougher team to come back against, because you couldn't just sit on one scouting report on your one closer. I know it is very effective and sets an identity for your bullpen if you do have that closer setting the tone, but there are different pathways to success, and if that's what the A's pathway, at least for the first half of the season, looks like, perhaps they get a closer type at the deadline. If they're in the thick of things, they could turn from sellers to buyers. Don't think they'd be sellers this year. If anything, I think the A's would be a stay put or buyer type of team at the deadline, but depends on what kind of start they get off to. But that's something to keep an eye on. The pitching. If the pitching is even right around league average, this A's team is going to be right in the thick of postseason discussion come September. Another topic, speaking of, that there may be some outfield reps available for Zach Geloff. They're going to take a look at him perhaps in center field. There were reports coming out of camp yesterday, because he is no stranger to looking around the room. There is a lot of infield depth, including the addition of Jeff McNeil. It's going to get tough. It's going to be very tough for Geloff to imagine seeing everyday starting reps at second base. There is the open competition at third base, but there is a ton of viable candidates there, so there's no guarantee as well. With Geloff's natural athletic ability and natural instinct, perhaps a transition to center field could be in the fold. The only way that happens is if they feel Denzel Clark's bat becomes a liability, because what he can provide defensively is out of this world. You already saw all the highlight reel plays we were treated to last year, and that was in such a small sample size where Clark didn't even play 60 games. But it already seemed like defensively he has stamped himself as one of the best in the game at that position. And yes, he does leave a lot to be desired to still develop offensively at the major league level. But I think with how this offense is stacked to produce a lot of runs, you can sacrifice slightly below average offense from Clark if it means you're going to get tremendous defense. But I do think in terms of pathway to landing some playing time, that may be the best case scenario for Geloff. So it's good to see him willing to take reps at a different position. Perhaps if there's a little bit more uptick in offense with him, he'll find his way into the lineup. He is being billed with a clean bill of health, so I think he's looking forward to getting back to what got the A's organization so excited with how he came onto the scene back in 2023. Best of luck to Geloff. I think he's always been someone we've been waiting to put it together at the major league level for quite some time. Hopefully 2026 is finally the year of health for him, and he lets his natural ability take over. This episode is brought to you by the Holiday Inn Sacramento Downtown Arena. Stay in the heart of downtown at Holiday Inn Sacramento Downtown Arena, ideally located near Old Sacramento Waterfront, Golden One Center, and Downtown Commons Doco. Our full-service Sacramento hotel is just 15 minutes from Sacramento International Airport and within walking distance of the California State Capitol and Safe Credit Union Convention Center. Host meetings, conferences, and social events in our flexible boardrooms and ballrooms, supported by experienced on-site sales and events teams. Enjoy modern amenities, including a rooftop outdoor pool, on-site fitness center, and Cypress Grill restaurant serving breakfast, dinner, and cocktails. Guest rooms and suites feature comfortable workspaces, contemporary amenities, and city views, making them ideal for both short stays and extended visits. Whether you are attending an event, planning a meeting, or exploring Sacramento dining, entertainment, and cultural attractions, our downtown vacation location keeps you close to it all. Downtown access, full service comfort, easy booking. Stay at our downtown Sacramento hotel. All right, before we get on out of here, just want to give you an update as we quickly approach our series that we did last year, and we are bringing it back in full effect for 2026. As starting on March 2nd, we are going to be releasing our A's player preview and prediction series. It is going to be one episode per day all the way until opening day on March 27th. So from March 2nd to the 26th, we will talk about an A's player per day, roughly around a 10 to 15 minute episode. Some of the episodes may have like 2 or 3 prospects coupled in, because at the time of recording, we're not going to know the full release of the 26-man roster. So we want to bring to the forefront, some players that may be in play for, if not to break spring training camp, at some point during the 2026 season. So when all said and done, it's going to be somewhere around 25 to 26 episodes, but on some of those, there may be 2 or 3 players we talk about. So I'm expecting us to talk about approximately 30 A's players that may make an impact on the 2026 season. Now, there are going to be some guys that don't make it to the series, that maybe have a better start in minor league than expected, are funneled up the organization at a more rapid pace, that aren't currently on their radar or in their plans, but may come to fruition. We may see guys like that. Also, there are other candidates where we have some future unknown about trades that come around at the trade deadline. Those will be some new additions. But these are going to be roughly 26 to 30 A's players out of the gate that we believe have an opportunity to impact the success or failures and everything in between for this year's athletics club. So plenty to look forward to there. Those are going to be released once per day. And that includes weekend days too as well, because we want to make sure we remain on a consistent timeline. The last player preview episode will be on the 26th, and this series will conclude on March 27th with an overall team preview where we're going to provide just a look in on our expectations for the team, look at each phase of the game and of the team from each specific point of view, give some predictions on how we think the year is going to go, and that will lead us right into our opening day preview series, which will be on March 27th. So looking forward to all of that without a doubt. Plenty to look forward to, but until then, it's going to be a little bit of a slow news cycle. But wanted to bring that to your attention so it's not sprung upon you, so that you know to kick off your March, you're going to be getting a ton of A's Day content along the way. And we can't to talk about the exciting developments around this young ascending club. And with that, that brings us to the conclusion of another edition of A's Day. Told you we were going to be short and sweet with it today. Not a ton going on in the news aside from spring training being in full swing, with pitchers and catchers in the full swing, all in attendance this week down in Mesa, Arizona. Very excited to see how this team looks in preparation for the 2026 season. On today's show, we provided some live look-in updates from spring training, as well as some topics of discussion, gave our thoughts on how it may affect the 2026 outlook, and then we provided you a little bit of timeline of some content to come. Very exciting way to kick off March. And forgot to add one thing that isn't going to take away from our check-ins, our twice a week. We are still going to have our Tuesday and Friday show. So on those Tuesdays and Fridays, expect 2 episodes of A's Day. That's right. We're getting very busy. We're stirring up the wheels and the pressers for the 2026 A's season that is right around the corner. And we've got so much to talk about, and we can't wait to have our discussion with all of you. This will be the last show of A's Day this week. As for our Bases, Barrels, and Ball Players podcast, we are heading down to sunny Florida to capture spring training at Baltimore Orioles, Minnesota Twins, Boston Red Sox, and Pittsburgh Pirates camp from February 18th through the 22nd. So in our hiatus, we are going to be focusing our content creation for that platform and getting a lot of interactions with baseball players from all of those organizations. With interviews, we're also going to be getting autographed memorabilia for future giveaways. So if you are a baseball fan yourself and love the game aside from just the A's, check us out on our Bases, Barrels, and Ball Players podcast the rest of this week. on our Instagram at Bases, Barrels, and Ball Players, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Bases, Barrels 25. And we are going to be hosting 5 subscriber events at local Fort Myers and Bradenton spots. If you do want to be entered to win those giveaways, we are giving away autographed memorabilia throughout those 5 events. Be sure to check out our Patreon site for our Bases, Barrels, and Ball Players podcast, patreon.com/Bases, Barrels, and Ball Players, patreon.com/Bases, Barrels, Ball Players, spelled out just like that. For just $3 a month, you'll be entered to win all those giveaways and all future MLB autographed memorabilia giveaways, as well as t-shirt giveaways that are set to start for that platform in March, and so much more as that platform grows as well. That is run by yours truly too, so we'll be supporting the same cause as growing the game to new heights. We're very excited to be able to expand our baseball horizons and all of the hot spots down there, like places to eat, places to drink, and our destination to stay at Matanzas Inn in Fort Myers and at the True by Hilton down in Bradenton. We are thankful for our hosted stays down there. So we will be taking a brief hiatus here on A's Day just for the week. We'll be back for our normally scheduled Tuesday show. We'll get you caught up to speed with any transactions that go on now between today and Tuesday's show. We'll also provide a bounce back and a couple of X Factor candidates that we feel can really make or break the success of the 2026 A's. We are going to miss you, our lovely A's Day audience, for the rest of this week, but we are well immersed, growing the game to new heights, so rest assured we will still be out creating content just for our other podcasts for the rest of this week. Be sure to tune in there on social media and our YouTube channel over on that platform. A lot of fun baseball content is soon to come. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grado. We'll be back again Tuesday's show. We can't wait to be back behind the mic talking about the A's and being a week closer to opening day. That's all I have for you. Have a good week, everyone. We'll see you all real soon. We'll miss you, but time will move very rapidly, as it seems like it is these days, and we'll be back behind the mic talking A's baseball rather soon. Have a good one, and Holy Toledo, let's go A's.